Hi folks, and welcome to Men of the Infinite for 2009. We've got a pretty big year coming up in terms of videos, but I wanted to kick-start this year's presentations by saying a few things about the nature of the difference between certitude and certainty. Because one of those things we really should be earnestly striving for, the other trying to avoid like the proverbial plague. Now you might think that when all's said and done there's not much difference between the concepts of certitude and certainty. But there is a difference, and it's a very important difference. And it's a difference that we ought to be aware of in our daily lives. Of course, the thing that certitude and certainty have in common is that neither admits doubt. But that's the only thing they have in common. The essential difference between them is this. Certitude is merely a feeling of certainty. It's no more than a feeling, a sensation, a sense of strong conviction. One that will not admit doubt, even where doubt is perfectly legitimate or logically defensible. We see this kind of mentality, the feeling of certitude, in things such as religious conviction and dogma. But we also see it in something as mundane as the idea that our wife loves us. The important thing to understand about certitude is that it has no necessary relationship, and at times no relationship whatsoever, to what is true or real. It need no such thing because it is just a feeling. Certainty, on the other hand, intellectual, logical certainty, is a different beast altogether. And it's important to appreciate that certainty and certitude don't go together and can never be found together. Certainty exists when a notion cannot be refined or simplified or doubted without that doubt creating an immediate contradiction. Now I'll give you an example or two of the kind of certainty that I'm talking about, so as to illustrate that point. One thing that we can be certain about in this sense is the immediate brute fact of existence, or perception. One might characterize that as reality is not nothing whatsoever, or something is happening. You can't doubt the brute fact of that, because you require the brute fact of it for the doubt to exist in the first place. Therefore the doubt is immediately illegitimized. It's immediately rendered meaningless, refuted. Indeed, the doubt itself is a piece of the thing being doubted. It's something that is happening. A similar example would be the formulation A equals A, the law of identity, that a thing is itself and not something else. It's impossible to doubt that. It's something absolutely certain, because you require the fact of the thing for the doubt to even emerge. But that you require the fact of the thing for the doubt to emerge makes the doubt automatically invalid. It's automatically refuted. It creates an instant contradiction. So A equals A is another thing that we can be certain about. There is also an entire sphere of experience about which we can say we don't have certainty. But our lack of certainty is something about which we can in fact be certain. Our empirical models and observations, for example, or the point that I made earlier that we don't know if our wife loves us. We can be certain that we can never have certainty in regard to that because we cannot get into another person's subjective space. Even if in the future we can hook brains together, there's still natural uncertainty because it's an empirical endeavor. So there's a few examples of things about which we can, in fact, be quite certain. The broader scope for certainty in terms of human experience is something that the thinker has to essentially work out for himself. But those couple of examples are building blocks from which one might start to embark on that kind of endeavor. One thing that's important to understand when thinking about the difference between certainty and certitude is that certitude cannot exist in a rational mind. Where certitude is, rationality is not. So the basic message of this video is essentially twofold, that we should be very wary of the existence of certitude in our mental landscape. We should always be on the lookout for it. The other message is simply that we ought not be unduly wary of the concept of certainty. We shouldn't have a knee-jerk reaction against it, because certainty is possible, and indeed is necessary. Rather, we should be wary of being in error. Certainty is important because where there is truth, there is certainty. Where there is certainty, there is truth. The two always go together. So if you're a thinker in pursuit of what is true, then you'll have to come to terms with the fact that certainty must also be real.